Today I'm in Washington, D.C., and for the first time ever, I'll be testing out the business class product on Etihad. Hello, YouTube travelers, and welcome to the Gentleman of Fortune channel. Join me on my travels around the world, and together we'll review the latest in flight and lounge offerings, find out how various airlines' first and business class products stack up, sample their catering, and indulge in their finest champagnes. Together, we'll experience the best of the best, and maybe some more obscure ones too. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss a thing. And now I invite you to sit back and relax as we get this next adventure underway. Well, after surviving the bedlam at the check-in counter, I'm finally on board. Apparently, yesterday's flight was canceled, and today's aircraft has been downgraded to one that doesn't feature the first-class cabin that many people paid for. As you can imagine, there's quite a few upset people. As for me, the original seat that I assigned myself has been changed to this exposed aisle seat, which is rear-facing and also lacks a window. I suppose at least I'm in the class of service that I booked. All that aside, the cabin furnishings themselves are quite chic and attractive. The seat features a large touchscreen television, and down below that is a little nook which will become the footwell for the bed when the seat is fully extended. Waiting for me in there at the time of boarding is a very nice plush blanket, and on top of that is the menu for today's flight. The cabin attendants making their rounds with the welcome drinks had to vie for space in the aisle with the police officers that were called on board to deal with the irate passengers who had formerly been booked in first class. So it's drama and a drink before takeoff. As I look around the seat, I notice that it's starting to show some signs of wear. More on that later. For now, here's a first look at the amenity kit, as well as the IFE controller and a panel for the lights. The tray table pulls out of this bulkhead that's in front of the TV and folds down towards you. It's also possible to slide it forward far enough that you can enter and exit the seat while the table is set. To the side of the seat, in addition to some wasted space, there's a small cabinet that holds the headphones. There's also a bottle of water waiting for me over in this compartment. And in front of that area is the literature pocket, which only had the air sickness bag and the emergency card. And here's the blanket that's laundered, sanitized, and plastic wrapped. An amenity kit is offered by the Italian brand Acqua di Parma. This one came in a fold-up pouch that buttons, but they also offer one that comes in a yellow zipper bag. Inside there's a small bag that contains a pair of socks as well as an eye mask. There's also a small tube of Acqua di Parma branded hand cream, as well as a small trial-sized vial of Acqua di Parma perfume. Of course, there's also a dental kit. And that's it. So not too many items in this kit. But they did also offer some wellness items. Now let's take a look at the menu card, which was waiting for me at the seat when I arrived. I've tried to keep each page moving slowly, but if you need more time, you can always pause the video to read it. This particular flight was delayed more than an hour and a half on the ground, but when we finally did get airborne, the cabin crew promptly began the onboard service. They started off with some mixed nuts and a drink to accompany the dinner. In this case, I chose the Bordeaux. For my entree, I selected the Arabic spiced lamb, which was served alongside with Arabic mezza, some bread, and the dessert all on a tray. The lamb was tender for the most part, although there were some gristly pieces, and it had a good flavor. I found that the mezza plate was pretty small, but it was very tasty. The dessert was described as a chocolate orange cake, though if I recall correctly, it was more of a mousse. The flavor was okay, but it was quite filling on top of an already heavy meal. Since the flight departed in the evening and was significantly delayed, I was ready to get some rest after the meal. There's no pajamas offered in business class on this 12.5-hour flight, but I was prepared and brought my own. The lavatory was decked out with this attractive tile backsplash, but otherwise lacked in amenities. This aircraft with this particular cabin layout lacks the window that some of the other configurations have. But there was a baby changing table, and overall, there's a little bit more space than the average aircraft lavatory. Now that I've changed into something more comfortable, I'm ready to get some sleep in the seat that converts to a full flat bed. But alas, there's another problem. The seat isn't functioning properly, and the flight attendants have to manually move it into the down position and then reset the entire system, which takes about 10 minutes. Coincidentally, my seat on the return leg also had a problem and would not convert into the full flat position. This seems indicative of some maintenance shortcomings on the part of Etihad. Eventually, the flight attendants were able to get the seat into the full flat position on this flight, and I didn't have to change seats. Here's a look at the bed that I made once it was in the flat position. There's no mattress pad, but you have a nice pillow and a very plush blanket. After a few hours of decent sleep, I awoke and tried to get a head start on adjusting to the new time zone, so I had a cappuccino, which was served with a sandwich and a couple of snacks. Before landing, a second, smaller meal was served. I was looking forward to trying Etihad's famed steak sandwich, which I've heard rave reviews about. Unfortunately, they weren't available on any of my flights, and I was forced to settle with this chicken sandwich, which seems a lot like a cost-cutting measure. It was perfectly edible, but nothing to write home about. Overall, I felt that the flight attendants were very attentive and accommodating, though the airline itself seems to have sacrificed a lot on the quality front, trying to recover from years of disastrous investment strategies and trying to remain viable in the face of the global pandemic of government overreaction. In light of the threat of flight cancellations, equipment changes, assigned seat changes, and as was my case, multiple schedule changes, as well as onboard maintenance issues, Etihad would not be my first choice of carriers to the Middle East. All that being said, Etihad does have some reasonable fares in business class to and from the United States. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll consider subscribing and giving it a like. And as always, until the next video, safe travels.